a brand new week on Afternoon Express Mzansi. I hope that you had a fantastic weekend this past weekend. I'm Palisa Tembe, and today it's all about back to school. As learners return to school in a phased manner, we find out from Simone Johnston, who runs a school wellness center, just what going to school in the area of COVID-19 looks like. Leading mommy blogger and influencer Hayley Milan shares her tips on homeschooling, and later we learn the pressures faced by the youth that drives them to drug abuse. Perhaps children don't have to physically go to school to get an education. So we want to know from you on social media, what type of schooling do you think benefits our kids more? Traditional schooling or homeschooling? I wonder what everyone's going to say. But remember to use that hashtag Afternoon Express. Ladies in the kitchen, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Bali. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you did too, Anna.
I had a wonderful weekend, thank you. And I'm even more excited now because today I am making tripe and trotters. Curry tripe and trotters with pop.
Talk about Mochodu Monday.
Yes, yes.
And I'll be making a delectable Baker's Good Morning Bran Rusk apple crumble.
Oh, yummy.
So we are just taking it up a level here. If you like all the ingredients, all the information about the recipes, go onto our website. But let's see what our guests have in store for us today.
Previously on the show, we chatted about how parents should anticipate the needs of their children when sending them back to school once schools reopen. Today, we chat to social worker Simone Johnston, who also heads up a wellness department at a school, to see what attending schools look like for pupils and teaching staff post-COVID-19. Welcome to The Loft, Simone.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Now, Simone, you are on the ground, in the schools with teachers and pupils. Tell us, what does it look like now post-COVID-19?
Well, it's an interesting time that we're living in. Whether public school or independent school, we have been guided by the Department of Basic Education as well as the Department of Health. There are a number of procedures and protocols that we have to adhere to in order to make our schools COVID-19 safe and healthy and a positive environment for our students.
Okay, so Simone, we see a whole new department birthed here off of COVID-19. So please may you just delve a little bit deeper into what that looks like. What are some of the measures that schools have taken to ensure the safety of their pupils and teaching staff?
Sure. So most schools, I would hope, have actually planned orientation programs in order to help their students and staff with re-entry at school. So that means a number of procedures and protocols that have to be explained and essentially train students and staff to use and to feel comfortable with. These measures include history about COVID-19, how the virus spreads, and what precautions and hygiene measures they can take to actually prevent the virus from spreading, and how to remain safe and healthy in the school environment.
So then what are some of the practical changes that they're facing?
There's so many changes that our students are facing during this time. The first thing is that they have to go through a screening process when they arrive at school. So they have their temperatures checked, they have a number of questions that they're asked that are related to COVID-19 symptoms. They have to wear a face mask, class mask, for the entire day. They have to navigate classroom situations. So desks and chairs are now measured 1.5 meters from each other. They have different classroom setups, smaller classrooms, or smaller number of students in classrooms. And we're talking hygiene measures, so things like going into a bathroom, having to use a sanitizer spray wherever you go and whatever you do. Even navigating times like break times, social distancing from their friends, and navigating how to eat their lunch while using a cloth mask. So there's so many changes that they've had to adapt to now being back at school.
What is the dynamic now that you've seen between pupils?
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. A lot of students are excited to be back at school. Some schools have been privileged enough to have online programs, and some schools not so, don't have resources to have the online program. So you can imagine the excitement of a student being able to be back at school and see their peers and interact with their teachers. But the dynamic has shifted. I think there's a sense of getting used to or having to adapt to changes, having signs on the wall to guide you, markings on the ground to guide you. So I think there's definitely some anxiety around the different procedures and how the actual school day looks and getting things right. I think students feel like often anxiety around getting things right and what happens if they get things wrong. So I think there's definitely a balance between the different kinds of emotions that they're experiencing in this environment.
You know, so COVID-19 has taken a mental toll on everyone and more so on the kids. How are teachers being considerate of the mental health of the pupils, and how important is it for them to focus on this?
So that's why the orientation program is so important in this process, because part of the orientation program, as guided by the Western Cape Education Department and the DBE, is that we have to be so aware of the different emotional responses that students and staff will have towards COVID-19, towards stigma of the virus, and towards just having been in lockdown for so long. So I think that the orientation process is so key in preparing staff and how to handle those conversations. And then the orientation process with the students as well. So acknowledging feelings, acknowledging that they're experiencing very normal feelings in a very abnormal situation. None of us have ever experienced this pandemic before. So I think it's really encouraging students to communicate about how they feel and what their response is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about having those tough conversations regardless. And another tough conversation, I don't know what you're going to do right now, Simone, and how you're going to answer. I personally have been battling with this thought, you know. Is face-to-face education versus online really benefiting our children?
So I think what we have to remember is that a large majority of our country and schools don't have the resources to have continued on during lockdown. And so I would say most definitely that face-to-face is so much more beneficial. Our students are now, with smaller classes, actually getting better and more contact time with their teachers. An online program is great, and it's helped keep our children connected, our students connected. However, nothing beats the face-to-face communication and being able to experience these difficult times together in this environment and navigating it together with your student.
Yeah. Okay, so then speaking about face-to-face and having the kids physically there in class, understandably so, there have been so many parents apprehensive about sending their kids back to school. So what advice would you like to offer these parents who ask, can my child's health and safety be guaranteed at school?
So at this point, we unfortunately cannot guarantee the health of all our students because it is definitely that the virus is spreading. However, what we have done is we appeal to parents, no matter where you are in the country, no matter what school your child attends, we appeal to parents to come on board with the staff members, with the body of the school, to ensure that students are practicing social distancing. Help your child practice using a cloth mask at home. Most children come to school for the first time. They haven't worn a cloth mask for 8 hours of the day. And so it's important that parents make sure that they are screening their children before they come to school, that they're aware, helping their children understand their own health, helping them be aware about their health, and make sure that they don't have any symptoms related to COVID-19 before they actually enter the school premises.
Thank you so much, Simone, for this and breaking down, you know, what's actually happening at our schools. We definitely appreciate you for joining us and lending your voice to the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
South Africa, you heard it here first from someone who is working on the ground, heading up a wellness department at a school. Look, whether you decide to keep your kids at home or take them to school, please do connect with us on social media and use that hashtag Afternoon Express. Simone Johnston and every other social worker helping us on the ground, we appreciate it.
I just want to give a thumbs up to our government and to our education system that they're actually making this work. It must be a big job to get the schools ready and, you know.
True, I agree with you. We actually need to commend them.
Yeah.
Palisa, I mean, I don't know what the people are saying, but they do deserve a round of applause.
Yes.
It is a Monday, but we are giving a round of applause. And I think it's all about, you know, the celebration of teachers right now and these social workers that are helping on the ground. So we have asked you on social media, you know, how are you feeling? Traditional education or homeschooling? Where are people leaning? And we've got Snezwane, and she says, traditional. South Africa had thousands of families that are poverty-stricken, where the environment was not suitable for homeschooling, where parents and guardians stand from sunrise to sunset trying to make sure that they have got something to eat, a place nice warm, washing, etc. can go on forever. Look, this is Snare saying that these are the day-to-day issues that parents are seeking. And I don't know, traditional schooling, it seems like, could be winning, but keep those comments coming, South Africa. Now, many parents have been thrust into the role of teacher during this pandemic. Coming up, mommy blogger and influencer Hayley Milan shares her tips on homeschooling effectively. We chat to parenting and lifestyle blogger Hayley Milan on the highs and lows of homeschooling in lockdown. Welcome to Afternoon Express, Hayley.
Thank you so much, Felicia. It's good to be here.
It's so good to have you. You know, on the show today, we're talking about school, the kids, and how everybody is managing. So what is your personal experience on homeschooling two young kids? I mean, do you and your husband take turns to teach the kids as you both work from home? You know, what does a typical day look like?
Well, every day looks completely different. That's the first thing. So at first, I think the first 2 weeks, we tried to find our feet and we kind of just do what works for us. So what we do is every morning we wake up, we kind of look at how each person's schedule looks, and we kind of take it from there because, I mean, we have meetings sometimes at the same time while the kids have online lessons. So we kind of have to take it day by day because if you look at it for the next week, it can be extremely daunting. So we kind of just juggle it and take it one day at a time.
But Hayley, I'm interested to find out, with younger kids, keeping them focused and structure comes with some difficulty compared to older kids. So how do you manage play and discipline?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's probably a bit more tricky with younger kids because sometimes we have to remind them it's not a holiday. We're kind of just doing our work and our schoolwork from home. But we kind of try and just build in a structured way. In the mornings, they have their learning and their activities. And in the afternoons, we kind of just let them have some free play. Even if we still have to work, we just sort of do an activity that they can actually just have some fun, be it play in the yard or just climb the jungle gym just to let off some steam. Because, I mean, they're missing their friends. It's quite something. So, yeah, we try and have mornings where it's more structured, and in the afternoons, we just let them have fun.
So tell us about the positives and the negatives about homeschooling and what challenges you're faced with.
So yeah, the positive is definitely being having quality time with the kids more than we'd ever have, and it's also we can actually watch them grow. So for example, with Alyssa, she's in grade 1 at the moment. So at the start of the year, she was kind of just learning words and like numbers and stuff. But now we're actually seeing her reading a book, which is something like phenomenal. And also my son, he's 5. He's actually learning from her, which has been a pro. So she's teaching him numbers and letters and things now, which also gives us a bit of a break. For the negatives, I would say is definitely juggling working and managing the kids. And also with work, it's difficult to actually switch off from work because you feel guilty. You're spending the morning with your kids now. So you need to put in extra time in the evenings or over weekends just to actually do all your work. But yeah, I think it's just about finding that right balance.
Now, Hayley, the golden question that I've just really been enjoying asking on the show is how have you been coping in lockdown?
It's a difficult question. There's been lots of baking and cooking. I've probably baked more now than I ever did in my whole life, which has been fun. And I think also just letting off some steam, having a workout every morning before the kids wake up, or be it taking a long hot bath in the evenings. I think it's just every day setting some time for yourself.
It's true what they say, Hayley. Jack of all trades, master of none. You have to take care of yourself. So now, what else have you learned from homeschooling? Are there any interesting things that you've seen the kids learning? And how has homeschooling helped you?
For me, it's been very interesting to see what a teacher has to go through and how much work they put into it. So, for example, Alyssa's teacher has been doing online lessons since day 1 and keeping all the kids on track. I mean, that takes a lot of perseverance. And also some of our kids, people are learning in different, they don't have a phone or they don't have a computer. So for her to make everything work, teachers are really true heroes. I don't know what we would do without teachers in this world.
So well said. I think we have to celebrate them. As much as everyone is talking about, everyone working on the front line and essential workers, teachers are right there with them because they are doing such phenomenal work under such tough circumstances. And speaking about returning to school, how do you feel about your kids returning to school in the midst of a pandemic and also knowing that they have to social distance and wear masks for an extended period of time whilst at school?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Evidence shows that kids are probably not as affected as adults. But at the same time, this virus is very unpredictable. And I don't think any parent would want to end up with their child actually catching it and being in hospital. It's very scary. So even though chances are small, you don't want your child to be one of those small chance cases.
We appreciate you, and please may you send our love to the family. Bye.
Bye.
Now, we're all finding our way through this new normal, but I am inspired by the parents that are working and homeschooling and cooking and cleaning. We can all do the best that we can.
Isn't it interesting the times that we're living in now that homeschooling is actually an option? I'm not so sure if I lean more towards it or just traditional.
I'm a traditional girl. I will send my children to school. I don't want them around me, and I want them to socialize,
True.
Polly, what does our viewers say?
Well, Anele, we've got Untabi here, and Untabi thinks opposite to you. Untabi doesn't decide on homeschooling. Instead, she says, going to school, she says homeschooling is better because grade R learners can't wear a mask from 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And I have to agree with Untabi. Here we're seeing young kids struggling with this. I don't know how you ladies feel.
I agree with that because they're too little to even make, like, remember certain things. So how will they remember a mask?
Exactly. Let's keep the comments going, though, South Africa. But first, family therapists. Oh, wait. Before I'm rushing ahead.
Yes.
To Talia, what are we cooking? Oh, because we're not in the kitchen, I'm forgetting.
Curry, tripe and trotters with pop.
Ooh,
Yes.
curry, tripe and trotters. Sounding delicious. Thank you so much, Anele. But first, family therapist and social worker Talia Russell gives us valuable advice on how to deal with common pressures facing families due to homeschooling.
Express yourself. Express yourself.
Today we chat to family therapist and social worker Talia Russell about the common pressures families are having to deal with because of homeschooling due to COVID-19. Welcome back to the Loft, Talia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's so lovely for you to join us and give an expert's opinion on what we've been discussing throughout the show. Now, what are some of the common pressures that are facing families dealing with homeschooling?
Well, I think that it's, the whole system, the family system is under pressure with not knowing what's happening, the uncertainty, the financial strain, having to educate at home, children with not going to school or no extra support from, outsourcing to grandparents or any type of support, external support. Now it's families on their own, isolated and under a lot of pressure.
I like how you say outsourcing to grandparents, shipping them off. Well, now it's not an option. So how are children and parents reacting to these pressures?
Well, I think we're seeing a whole range of responses. We're seeing some families that are really taking strain. And we are seeing families that are also really thriving under the slower pace almost, because a lot of the extra noise has gone quieter. But mostly, I think what we're seeing is a lot of fatigue. So tired families, parents are tired, children are tired. They are uncertain, so there's a lot of heightened emotion. So the little things are becoming big deals very quickly.
Yeah, it tends to happen in the household. The small thing ends up rippling over to becoming a mountain, and we need to slow this down. So what is happening right now with families?
So I think what I'm seeing, and colleagues of mine as well, we're seeing where like I said, the little things. So there's a lot of, have you heard of quarantine? So instead of quarantine, we're in quarantine. So
Yes, I have.
Lots of conflict and bickering. We're a little bit sick of each other. And so getting frustrated over little things. We are seeing in families meltdowns, and meltdowns for the big people and the little people, where it's just where we are so, our jar is so full, our sort of emotional jar, that one little thing and we're setting off. I'm seeing, though, what is really pleasing is some families are really using this time to connect, using this time without the outside pressure to really get to know each other, because it's been so busy. Life has just been on the go that really we have been given an opportunity to slow things down and appreciate it. But I do acknowledge myself, who's living through it, homeschooling my own children and trying to juggle work and everything. There's some great blessings, and there's moments where I just want 5 minutes alone.
I can imagine that. I mean, speaking to Hayley, who also is a mom going through all the ins and outs of homeschooling during lockdown, she said the same thing. You have to take care of yourself and remind you of who you are in all of it. So we're seeing here different parents having different methods of coping with what's happening. So what can parents do to assist their child through this experience?
I think that parents need to try their best to put some structure in place. That is what school provides, that's so containing, a predictability, a little bit of knowing what the day is going to entail. So for parents, I don't need you ringing a school bell necessarily, but to have some sort of demarcated time in the day. So now we're going to have lunch or a snack, or there's a bit of work or whatever it needs to be, but that gives children something to hold on to and something to feel safe and secure about. The other thing that I do want to say for parents, for their children, is even though it seems like really not a big deal to us, the little things that they're missing out on, like seeing their friends or their matric dance, or moments that in the greater scheme, yes, are not so big, but for children they are very big. So parents need to acknowledge that for their kids and just let them be disappointed, let them be frustrated, and acknowledge that for them.
Talia, how then can parents manage their expectations during this time?
I think parents need to hold on to the idea that now is the time to survive, not thrive. So what I mean by that is our expectations need to be lowered. We're dealing with a pandemic where we are all experiencing a level of trauma, of loss, of grief, of uncertainty. So this period, and even this year, is not the time that we're going to have those academic pressures for our children. Their motivation is going to be lower. Their brains are trying to make sense of all the changes. So this would be the time to understand that for your kids right now, the expectation for what would be a normal year really does need to take into account that it's not a normal year.
Thank you so much, Talia Ressels, for showing us exactly what we can expect to see in households. And moving forward, whether you decide to homeschool your kid or take them back to school, this is how we can positively affect each household. We appreciate you. Cheers. Now head over to our social media. If you have gained a lot of wisdom and help from Talia Ressel here, social worker, telling us what we can see in our households, but most importantly, how to move forward positively.
Olive Pride brings a touch of pride and the natural beauty of olive oil to your table. Made with love by Clover.
It's Monday, and what are we making?
I don't even want
Come
to
on,
say
tell
it.
me.
We are making curried trotters.
Tripe and trotters. And in Afrikaans is it curry pens and potjies.
Guys,
It's Monday, and I'm so happy about this. So let's start. This is my favorite dish.
Okay.
This is a dish when I'm on my deathbed. My last meal is tripe and trotters, the curry one with pap.
This said by a vegetarian. You
Yes.
no longer eat meat.
I won't be a vegetarian then. First of all, I'm going to take my beautiful olive pie. It's a mixture of olive oil and sunflower oil. So it's got like a subtle taste of olive oil. And you also don't need a lot of salt when you use it. Perfect for baking, frying, all those things. And perfect for this. Yes. Onions, because we're making a curry.
So if South Africa is looking at my face and wondering why I'm looking so shocked, it's because I used to think I was the best mkhodo maker until I tasted Anel's tripe.
Okay, tell them what you think about my tripe.
It is the best thing I've tasted. It is amazing. Because also I never thought of putting curry, I never thought of making it this way.
Yeah. How did you grow up with it?
Plain and simple, basic, simple, salt, maybe steak and chop spice. but
Yes.
The most basic way.
Yes.
And you've literally, and yes, nowadays I zhuzh it up and add my flavor. But the fact that you're saying that in the Free State, this is a family recipe, by the way.
It's a family recipe,
You grew up eating this.
Yes, I grew up eating this. Okay. Especially in winter, my mom used to make this with us when we had it with stave pap. And then we used to put the pap in like a bonneltjie like this, and then you eat it with your tripe like that. It is delicious.
Okay.
So in goes the curry. In goes my curry into my pot. Oh, love it. I smell. And you can use strong curry or mild curry, but as you taste it, I like mine strong.
And to go with your beautifully amazing tripe, I'm going to be making the stave pap.
Yes,
right?
I want to know how you make your stave pap. That is what I want to know.
Okay, the most important thing, and this is still a debate about whether you put salt or not in your pap or in your rice. I always put salt.
Me as well. I also
It's
put
very
salt.
important
I
for
agree.
me to put salt.
Yes.
And then my water's been boiling here. And then I'm gonna go in and, guys, forgive me, but this is an eyeball kind of thing. You have to have had years of experience.
I eyeball mine as well. I'm exactly like that. You can see it when you make it.
Yes, you see exactly what.
So you're making a stave pap.
I want to stave up, so I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. And basically all I want now is for it to come together.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to leave it to cook on a medium to low heat.
Yes.
And that's about it now. It's going to cook by itself.
And if
No
people want
worries.
the recipe for this beautiful tripe, go to our website, afternoonexpress.co.za.
I'm still shocked.
What?
I've made this, it's done. 2 minutes finished.
You know what I've done? I forgot my tripe in the fridge because you have to keep it in the fridge.
Yes.
Yes. And clean and cool. Our beautiful fridge.
Which kind are you using? The cleaned
The
already?
clean, yeah, definitely. Look at it. It's a spierwit. My mom used to crap it. You know what is crap it? Like, to
clean it.
Yeah, to clean it. Okay. So I'm just going to add this to my pot. Oh, I love it. Going to add some salt.
And another thing you mentioned is that there are tips and tricks that you have to avoid that smell.
I know, yeah. My mommy used to, this is what she taught me, is like a little bit of vinegar. I don't know why, but the people walked into the studio today, they came to me, our producer, Alshay, says, oh, it smells so nice in here. And I said to her, it's actually tripe. And she was quite shocked. Yeah, she couldn't believe it.
I remember. She was like, no, you can't be making tripe. Because whenever you make tripe,
People
the whole
complain.
house, the whole street, the whole neighborhood will know. that
Yes,
you're
the whole
making tripe.
neighborhood. And then you add your bit of water to it. And then you must just close this pot and let it do its thing for a few hours. But as you know, I made lots this afternoon in studio. Look at this. Ta-da-da!
Wow.
It is gorgeous. I want
Wow.
to show the people. Look at this.
And it also tastes as amazing as it looks, just by the way.
No, it's like, it's warm, it smells the curry flavor and this beautiful potatoes in it. And I'm gonna dish a bit up. And this you can take home tonight, my friend.
Well, there was not a debate. There was not. It was not up for discussion.
And then in Italy, they cook it with tomato. You know, they've got different flavors as well.
Yes.
Because this is a dish not just for South Africa,
Yes.
all over the world, especially Europe. And as well, your Eastern Bloc countries. They love it, right?
True.
You know, so, but they eat it not with a curry, because this is our Malay
Yes.
infusion. They eat it plain, like you said. You grew up with it. And then with tomato as well. So look at that.
I'm sure all my people from Soweto, Kasimogodu Mondays are thinking they want this plate because it's a perfect, there you are, spiciness
Yes.
for that Monday hangover.
Yeah.
So you'll have to forgive me, guys, but I think we're having another challenge now about Soweto and Free State.
And we want to know from our viewers, how do you like your tripe? Plain white, curried, or with tomato? But I need a bit of pop as well here. I'm going to steal this one. Because this is the way I grew up. The right hand is for your drink, and this hand is for the eat.
I'm left-handed, so both
Yeah.
hands.
So you actually just do it like this and eat it like that.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing, guys. I take off my hat to Anel. You are the tribe queen. It's
Thank
fine.
you.
I hand over the reins to you.
And then for the recipe again, go to our website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Mwah. It's Tripe Monday.
Olive Pride brings a touch of pride and the natural beauty of olive oil to your table. Made with love by Clover.
Ladies, this looks delicious. It smells even more marvelous here in the kitchen. But you know, on social media, talking about saluting all of our chefs on Afternoon Express, we've got Sipesihle who says, "Hey, Balisa, shout out to Chef Anele and Chef Dumi. You are all amazing." But we also have asked everyone, you know, is homeschooling better or traditional education better? And we have Sipesihle continuing his comments and saying, I would say homeschooling to stay safe from the coronavirus. We don't want to get anxious or anxiety when we turn out positive. I mean, we learners haven't seen each other for months now, and we're going to hug each other, and there'll be no social distancing during break time. Hashtag homeschooling, hashtag Afternoon Express. Now, this sounds so interesting to me because we have a learner themselves saying they want to go back to school. So let's rather homeschool all away, ladies.
No, I understand where Special is coming from, because it's a situation where I haven't seen you in a while. It's been forever. I will run to you and give you a hug.
Well, on that note, let's keep the show going, South Africa. The previous week was Drug Prevention Awareness Week, and coming up, we're going to learn from the South African National Council on alcoholism and drug dependence, why we're experiencing a spike in drug abuse amongst the youth during this pandemic.
Express yourself.
We chat to Sanka's social worker and representative Megan Smith about the increasing abuse of drugs amongst the youth during the COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome to Afternoon Express, Megan.
Thank you for having us, Felisa.
Now, Megan, tell us a bit more about Drug Prevention Awareness Week that you had last week and the programs that you offer.
Prior to COVID, what we did was we went to schools, clinics, churches, inpatient rehabilitation centers. Obviously, this year is different because we're facing the pandemic. So what we are doing virtual awareness talks where we go either on radios or we're still trying to negotiate entry with schools to have us come, at least one of us to come and do awareness talks. Sanka Awareness Week aims to educate not only the youth, families, schools, communities on what the effect is of substance abuse and a dependent of substances.
Now, Megan, what are the leading causes or risk factors that contribute to drug abuse amongst the youth?
Melissa, there are a wide range of risk factors that contribute to substance use. Mainly, we have identified that poverty is one of them, drug-related and crime-related. Those are all risk factors. Even gang-ridden communities, we have family members that are substance abusers themselves. And these are all factors that kind of leads the youth to want to experiment. They are often faced with peer pressure. They themselves are dealing with stress and anxiety and can't find positive ways to cope with that stress and anxiety and kind of use the substances to comfort themselves in those times.
Megan, this is a very touching and sad reality, but it's one that we have to face, unfortunately. So how is the youth vulnerable to drug abuse, especially in this time of a pandemic?
We know that according to the UN World Report, we have kids young as 12 years old that are experimenting with drugs. And that's even decreasing. We have experienced an 8-year-old coming into our facility that was addicted to substances. They are the most vulnerable because they're at that age where they want to experience things. They want to experience a certain rush, a certain excitement. And in often poorer communities, there's not that sense of stimulation, that positive stimulation. So a quicker way out or a quicker way to experience that kind of rush is the substances. And because everybody's doing it, my friends are doing it, it made me feel powerful. It made me able to study or sleep if I was stressing for exams. So youth is extremely vulnerable to substances, especially within the Western Cape and South Africa.
Now, I can only then imagine the ripple effect this has on their education. So, Megan, how do we see drug abuse affect one's education, especially at those young ages?
Felisa, we identified that learners who are using substances, especially within schools, a lot of them have a high dropout rate. They normally start within the primary school level and they don't even reach that high school level. And it affects it so much that they're often ashamed to go back to school because they've either had to repeat a grade, and that has a ripple effect on unemployment rate.
Yeah.
An even higher crime rate and a higher poverty rate.
We need to turn this around, okay? We can't keep going on like this, Megan. So what measures can teachers, parents, and the community take to assist in the prevention of drug and alcohol abuse?
I think the first and most important way for families and communities to kind of take a step in tackling that substance abuse is to acknowledge that there is that problem in your community. Sanka even provides training services not only for professionals, but for any single individual, whether you are a concerned parent, a concerned teacher, a community member, a youth leader. We provide training for anyone who's interested in just educating themselves on substance use disorder and what that effect is. And with that, they can then identify an individual who is using substances and help them when necessary.
And then on that exact note, what steps can parents or teachers or anyone rather take to help someone if they do suspect this person is abusing substances? But more importantly, what if this person just doesn't want the help?
What's important is to first identify warning signs. Mainly there are these dramatic behavior changes, mood changes, lack of interest in school. If you've known your child to be a charismatic, bubbly child, and then that changes, that could necessarily sometimes indicate that your child is experiencing worse substances. We even have schools that are educated in drug testing. So often educators themselves, they know or they can easily identify when someone is abusing substances and then refer to us. When someone isn't compliant, especially when they're over 18, we do advise parents or teachers to get a court committal. Because Sanka works on a voluntary basis, we can't necessarily force anyone to attend an outpatient treatment program. The main focus is, or the main goal is, for that person to acknowledge and not deny that they do have a problem. That's the most important thing first.
Thank you for that clarification. Very important indeed, Megan. Now, what can the youth do to create an awareness to prevent substance abuse? And what can they do should their friend or a family member be on drugs?
The first thing they should not do is judge. We know judgment and shame is big when it comes to substance abuse and for even teenagers who are experiencing. So if you are assuming that a friend of yours is using or a fellow peer member of yours is using, first speak to them. Don't confront them. Don't go behind their back. We understand that you're trying to support them, but first come from a point of concern and not judgment. I think that's the most important, not to kind of feel that you're pushing me away, you're judging me, you're labeling me as this person, you don't know what I'm going through. So try to understand where that use was first identified as.
Thank you so much, Megan, for the incredible work that you're doing. We appreciate it. As we have moved out of Drug Prevention Awareness Week, it is important that we keep this message going throughout. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you, Felisa.
We encourage the youth to not succumb to peer pressure and to seek help by reaching out to a counselling facility, a teacher or a parent should they feel that they're not coping or they have to resort to substance abuse. Do not be afraid to seek help.
It's just so sad to hear all of this, and I think the only way we can change it around is through employment. As she said, we need employment in our country. We're on a 30% unemployment rate, and it is a big problem, and it's a cause of this as well.
It is. Palisa, what's your take on that?
You ladies heard, you know, it's kind of devastating and it does touch the fibre of us as a nation, as Umzansi. So we definitely want to stand in solidarity with all those going through this addiction and want to see them on the other end. But something else I'm excited for, ladies, is what you're cooking shortly. So what are we going to see?
We're ending on a sweet note, so we're going to be making we're going to make an apple crumble with a twist because we're going to be using Good Morning Bran Rusk, Baker's Good Morning Bran Rusk.
That sounds delicious to me. All of that coming up shortly.
Make the most of winter's simple pleasures with the new Baker's Good Morning Bran Rusks.
Welcome back, South Africa. And like we said earlier, we're ending on a high note with a tasty, sweet Baker's Good Morning Bran Rusk Apple Crumble.
Yeah, it's a new Rusk on the shelves of them. They've got a whole range. This is a new one. And what I like about it is just with a cup of coffee in the morning, and then you've got your breakfast.
That's about it. You need nothing else.
Yes, and at night with a bit of hot milk in the tummy, and you go to bed.
And it's literally the perfect combination of Bran and Baker's touch of magic. It's basically, you know, we used to sing the song.
What?
Who can make a biscuit specially for you?
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Cover it with chocolate. Yes.
The Baker's man can.
The Baker's man has gone from doing what we know they do and putting an extra twist to it. But anyway, enough about talking too much. We are making an apple crumble.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I've added my apples and pears into my pot here. But we're putting a very interesting twist on it because our base, our crumble here, is going to be with the rusks.
Oh, so you can use that as the rusk.
As the actual crumble pot of it, yes.
Okay.
So I've just gone in with my apples, and I've got some pears in there because if you know, the texture of pears is a little crunchier than apples. So obviously we want that texture inside the actual crumble itself. You're going to be making a sauce for us because our crumble will have the delicious juicy part of the apple at the bottom, the crunchy crumble on the top with the rusk, and then a delectable sweet
caramel, because I'm the caramel queen. You know I love caramel. So tonight it's caramel and afval. It's like I'm in heaven.
Yeah, you win that race. You won it. It's fine. Let's not go back.
How do you make this crumble?
Yes. So in here I've just put in some flour. I've gone in with a mixed spice. In the spices there, we've got some cloves, we've got some allspice, we've got some cinnamon as well. And I'm going to mix these together, the flour as well as some caster sugar as well, because you know when you're making short bread or crumble like that, there's normally going to be a crust on the top. So I've got some flour in here, and before I bake this all together, I'm going to go in with some butter. Your butter must always be cold.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to crumble this together.
That's perfect when you make like a crumble like that.
Correct, yes. But before I even get my hands dirty, I want to go in with my rusks and just get them ready for me here. And guys, if you want to get the details, please go onto the website, afternoonexpress.co.za. Get the information, exactly what you need, and you too can enjoy this indulgence. I'm going to put my rusks over there because I'm also going to crumble them into this mixture.
Yes.
Because I want my... Not only are they... Look at just how easily they crumble. I think most rusks are so hard.
It's going to be like the perfect texture for it, because the crumble, you want that crunchiness, and it's going to give that beautiful crunchiness.
Correct. So now I'm going to crumble the rest of this mixture in my fingers like this.
Yeah.
And then it's going to create a nice crumble on the top, because you also don't want your batter to be fully melted. You want it to be nice and hard. So you create a crumble texture from it. I've actually got some that I made earlier today, because I feel like this is going to take forever. And this is basically what it's going to look like.
Yes.
And you just crumble the rest of your rusk into that. And then what's going to happen is we're going to take this whole mixture and put it into our ramekin. It's already got the batter, so everything is going to melt perfectly together into our ramekin. And then once it's all baked, we're going to top it with our delectable sweet caramel that you're making there for us. So what exactly have you done now?
I've put some sugar in here and carameled it a little bit. Okay. And then I ended butter and cream. Calories, sister. We love the calories when it comes to desserts. We're not shy.
No, we're not.
Shy.
No, we don't.
What I like is the spices that you've put in there. You know, it's going to give it that real wintry feel.
Correct. So I also haven't broken up my rusks too much because I still want that tasty Bran flavor that comes from the rusk themselves. So I'm going to leave it nice and big. And then you just top your apple crumble with this. I mean, what could be better? Talk about a normal apple crumble, add some rusks to it. Add some Baker's Good Morning Rusk to it, and you're done.
And then you bake that in the oven for how long?
I bake this in the oven for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes at 200 degrees. Because your apple's already cooked, basically what you're doing now is just crusting that top part, the apple crumble, and it's going to be nice and golden brown at the top. And basically that's it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Well, in this case, winner, winner.
Apple crumble winner. It's Mr. Baker Man, Bran winner.
The Baker's Man can. The Baker's Man can. Because he mixes it with love. He makes the world taste good.
Make the most of winter's simple pleasures with the new Baker's Good Morning Bran Rusks.
Ladies, please may you come on through. I'm going to just dive straight on in and be naughty. I'm going to go for desserts for dinner. I don't know about you ladies. Thank you. This looks really good. Nitin.
Yes. I've been waiting for this tripe, so please, let's not even...
Here you go.
Yeah. So, ladies, how was the weekend? You know, as a family, you know, we want to all come together, enjoy the weekend. But, you know, Mondays are also about going back to school, getting back to work. So it's a little bit of a shift here.
It is, and I think because being a mother, these are things that I'm thinking about now. What would be best for me? What would be best for my child? Because a lot of times as parents, we think about ourselves more than the children. What would actually work for him? What would he prefer?
Yeah.
So maybe those are questions we should actually be asking the kids.
Yeah, and my heart actually goes out not just to the children, but to all the teachers that's sitting with this as well, because it must be very difficult for them as well to go through this. Did you see the classrooms with the tape and everything? It's a whole new world.
It's definitely a whole new world, but I'm also very excited because it's an opportunity for people to reconnect with the books. You know, education is key right now in the country, and we cannot overlook the value of schooling.
Yeah.
So whether you decide to take your children back to school or you decide on homeschooling, either way, as long as the kids are getting the valuable information that they need.
Yeah.
Now, guys, as we do look to tomorrow's show and we move on from today's show, we hope that you got your homeschool today, Mzansi. Now join us tomorrow as we take a deep dive into the second pandemic that has hit South Africa, and that's the scourge of gender-based violence. Until then, good night, stay safe, and happy eating as I dive into this dessert.
Yes.
Bye.
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 Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.